Lifestyle Chat channel. I've been writing this story and the title is And It Goes On, and this is part 4 of And It Goes On. Go check out part 1, 2 and 3. Life was an ocean to dive full on into. Ilias Kyriakos viewed himself as a connoisseur of all that was laid before him for the pleasure of his own taking. He was, after all, a Greco. None but all of life, all of love and all of its pleasures were made for such civilised souls as these. He'd studied bass and a Master of Arts in Musicology in Sofia, Bulgaria, loving the city for its sophistication and cool nightlife. He'd returned to his hometown of Thessaloniki to serve his 2 years in the army at 25, flunked in the second year on the grounds of ethics, was psychologically evaluated after absconding for the day, and later engaged to a Latvian beauty who decided a life in Turkey with her Turkish lover, Ilias, he later discovered was not the only one, would be better for her. Although upset at the breakup, an initial bout of rose-tinted glasses romance, he remorsed and reflected that he was with her mainly to please his parents. He suffered a slight, taunted and bruised heart. The breakup, however, didn't do much to taint and dent his ego. Thus, he came to the UK to study a PhD after hunting down a Professor Hinckley in Pythagorean harmonics, a book of his taking his stark interest. So at 27, the course had left him 1 year short of a PhD and bewildered at having to explain scientifically what he meant by the effects of music on the soul for healing. As it was explained to him, if you are to delve into the subject of the soul, you have to define what you mean by the soul. And in doing so, you are delving into the area of metaphysics, not music theory. Maybe you're on the wrong course, Ilias, or in the wrong department. Here we teach ancient Greek philosophy and the classics. Ilias figured, I'm already Greek. I'll stick to playing bass, form my own band, carry on where I left off in Bulgaria, encroach the nomadic, hippie beat of the street and connoisseur the English lifestyle. He decided he'd cultivate his own sense of style of music and assess its effect on the Englishman's soul, if he ever had one. He'd see where his music would take him and digress from there. He'd attended a music fest for folk music, student and coffee lovers, while daydreaming, lying on the grass with his Polish new acquaintances and bandmates. He saw in the distance something like a brown-skinned female. Yeah, he assessed the curvature, of her hourglass shape while she stood sipping on a can of Tango. Yeah, something like this. Yeah, it awakened an epiphany in him. Orangutan. Yeah. It conjured up for him images and sounds of Afrobeats blended with an Ibethan backdrop. Something like this. Yeah, something like that. He started putting jam parties together at his current home of residence to find the right sort of musicians he wanted to work with, to arrange some gigs. It was 1:30 a.m. in the morning. Only Boris, Ilias and Sunita remained. Ilias and Boris sat talking about tennis, getting to the gym for some fitness. Ilias prepared a meal and sat at the dining table. Are you vegetarian? Are you vegetarian? Yeah, come and join us. Another? He poured another glass of Merlot for Sunita. Why not? Sunita pulled up a chair and sat next to him. They dined. Boris sipped on the last of his Budweiser, decided it was time for him to go. I think you should open the window. It's a bit stuffy in here. You know, it could do with some fresh air. He grinned as he said this, deciding it was time for him to leave. Thanks for all the likes, thank you. Somehow they ended up in the bedroom. Sunita perched herself on top of his bike and started paddling the pedals, mainly because of the self-consciousness she was feeling and to feel a bit of motion in her body. The Merlot wine left her feeling fuzzy, warm, relaxed, playful. Yeah, that's it for today. Yeah, I'm going to carry on the rest. So that's basically, I would say that's part 1 of the story. Chapter 1, 2, 3 and 4. They're just very short chapters. And I would say that's kind of like the opening introduction to the rest of the story. And I have written quite a bit more, but I'm just sort of, I think, you know, to read the rest, that's where I'm just getting, it's very much touching like a sensitive part of me to, I'm not quite happy with it. You know, it needs a lot of work on it, so it's very kind of like, I'm fairly okay, I'm fairly happy-ish with the beginning of it, like with the intro. But the rest of it, I know it needs a lot of work, and then there's like gaps. There's like circumstances, and then there's gaps in between, which I need to revisit and fill in. And that's where I'm just getting a bit, I think because, I don't know, just writing this story, it's just making like my sensitive like emotions heighten, which is why it's like giving me some sort of like aberration, you know, which is why I just won't sit down and focus and tackle on it. But it is something I want to work on and develop and finish. So I know when the time is right, I will do. But yeah, that's all of part 1 for now. As I said, chapters 1, 2, 3 and 4. So if you like what you're listening to, leave a comment or even if you don't like it, just leave a comment. Let me know what you think of my story. And let me know what you think of the title. Does it suit the story? And it goes on. And if you think of my title, yeah, and it goes on, if you like the title, leave a Y for yes in the comment section. If you don't like the title, leave an N for no in the comment section. And also just let me know any thoughts about the story. Thank you very much. But I'm coming off this live now. And thank you for joining the live. And any gifts, thank you very much. And have a great day. Have a great morning. See you later. Bye-bye.